Welcome to the Just Catching Up podcast. Today, the JCU crew answers the question, what books, movies, and operas should be adapted into television shows? We talk about various Netflix, Amazon Prime, and Hulu adaptations and whether or not they would make for good shows. This episode was originally recorded on May 31st, 2020. Enjoy. The recording has started. I'll clap for posterity, I guess.
And I will clap just because I'm happy. Because I know it.
And I'll clap just because it's annoying.
Well, I'm happy and I know it, so, I gotta clap my hands.
No, dude, you do you.
Everybody clap your hands. Clap your hands. To the right
Everybody.
now. To the left.
Now to the left.
Take it back now, y'all. One hop.
One hop this time. Now 2 hops this time.
I legitimately hate that song. Like, a lot.
Ian, I'm afraid I'm going to have to revoke your white person card then.
Fine. I don't want... right now, I don't want to be associated with those people.
I don't
So should we keep that in the podcast or cut that out?
I'm afraid you have no choice, sir. You, sir, are white.
I'm very white.
Unfortunately, your test results have come back positive for whiteness.
Oh, man. What do I do? They're racist, I thought.
Well, with treatment,
positivo.
you can overcome this. You can overcome this with treatment. Might I suggest that you go home and listen to all of the R&B music that you can get your hands on.
Okay.
Most notably, anything with an artist whose first name is Lil.
Little Johann Sebastian Bach.
So,
I haven't heard him, but I heard he's really dope. I heard his flows are dope.
What about Little Dicky?
Now, Lil Dicky,
He's
that's
Jewish.
That's. You know what? I'm gonna allow that one. I'm
Okay.
gonna allow that one.
Okay.
Because he hangs out with Snoop.
He does. I remember that video. That was a good video.
I'm gonna allow that one. All right.
You must also make sweet, sweet, passionate love, the beautiful sounds of Barry White or Lou Rawls, preferably both.
And also while it is softly snowing outside.
It's June.
The wrong month for that.
Well, then you're just gonna have to wait.
Or go to Australia.
Or you just get like one of those artificial snow machines and just set it up on top of your roof. You just need to be able to see the snow through your window. That's the important part. It needs to be seen through the window.
Through the window.
Whilst you're making love.
Through the wall.
Okay, Sean, why don't you introduce the podcast?
Okay, I'm gonna start the show now. What's up, listeners? You're catching yet another episode of the Just Catching Up podcast. I'm your host, Sean, and you are tuning into the podcast where me and the JCU crew get together to just catch up. Now, each and every episode, one or more of us will bring a topic of discussion, which all of us will do a deep dive into our thoughts, opinions, and possibly Ian's most dark, perverted fantasies.
Swear to
I'd like to introduce today's guests. Today's guest being Ian.
Hi, we are not diving into my dark, perverted fantasies.
All right, then today's guest also being Nathan.
Hi, we might dive into mine.
And lastly, but certainly not least, today's guest, Jim.
What's up, fam? And for the record, you are always welcome into my deep, depraved mind.
Okay.
That's right.
So now that we know all the parties involved, we can go ahead and jump into today's topic, which is, if I can word this properly, your favorite article of fictional media that you would like to see become a television show. Everybody clear on that?
Yes.
Or movie?
So it doesn't have to be a movie. It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be a movie. It can be anything. It can be a movie. It can be a video game. It can be a musical or opera.
I just meant like to be made into a television show or movie.
I think we're
Or just
thinking
No,
television.
preferably a television show. I like the idea of the television show format.
Fair enough.
We're thinking
so-
like something that can be picked up by Netflix or Amazon or Hulu
Yeah.
or something.
HBO.
Yeah,
or a major network.
Fair enough.
Those don't exist anymore.
Those will exist for as long as they have on this earth to exist. Not very long. Not much longer.
Not much longer.
But
no.
they still exist. Ian. They still exist. We can't discriminate against the networks. We can discriminate against everyone else, but not the networks.
Right.
Now, so like I was saying, it doesn't have to be a movie. It could be anything. It could be it could be a video game. It could be a book. It could be a radio show. It can be a comic book. It can be a newspaper article.
So
It
long as it's
can-
an opera.
So long as preferably an opera. I want to hear all your favorite operas that you want to turn into television shows. Let's go, Nathan. Nathan, what's your favorite opera? Let's go.
Well, my favorite recent opera is the adaptation of David Cronenberg's The Fly as an opera.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, you're gonna have to repeat that.
There is The Fly opera. I don't believe it stars Jeff Goldblum. I believe it probably stars some opera singer.
Well, that's the first problem with it. It doesn't star Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah,
But
it
go on,
needs to
go on.
start Jeff Goldblum.
I do know at one point in the opera,
I think it should star Jeff
a
Goldblum.
soprano belts out the lyrics, and you know me with the lyrics, but this one's pretty good. Be afraid, be very afraid, is the
So-
tagline.
So someone sings the tagline
Yes.
in operatic form.
Sean, it's an opera. They sing almost everything.
Be
not everything.
afraid. Be very afraid. It's the best I
No,
can do.
no, I thought he said it was a soprano.
Well, I mean,
There you go.
there you go.
You're welcome.
That's yeah.
Orla's giving me a weird look now.
It was a little pitchy. But,
Well, you know, I'm not a
I
soprano.
do think adapting that as a TV series would be odd since it was already a movie, but
Well, we get to if it does do a TV series, we get to see the scene where the guy literally pulls his own face off. Who's seen the sequel? Who's seen the sequel?
I have not seen the sequel.
Oh
you
yeah.
know what? That's
I
you know what?
did.
That's gonna be the two-part. That's gonna be a two-parter.
Oh yeah.
I haven't even
So-
seen the original.
Here's my claim to fame. The guy who wrote the music for the sequel, The Fly 2, I used to live in his house.
You did what now?
I used to live in his house.
Oh, live in his house. I didn't hear the rest of it.
I thought you said
There's a story involved in this somewhere I would very much like to know about in the future.
So wait, so he used to live where exactly?
Well, he is a famous film composer, so he owns at least two houses and rents one of them out to aspiring film composers.
That's pretty
So-
interesting.
So how did you get involved with that then?
I
Kidding.
I'm actually genuinely curious. How did you get involved with that? I would like to know the story.
literally just I knew a guy who had lived there a few years before, and he said just email his assistant, and I emailed his assistant, and then a few months later I lived in his house.
Okay.
That's interesting. It's not as interesting as I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be something along the lines of like you emailed his assistant and then she enlisted you into some kind of experiment where
Oh yeah,
you know,
all
they
of that's true.
spliced your DNA with some sort of insect, possibly a fly, and you turned into a half man, half fly creature that
Like
was
he's
Sean, that's-
living in his house.
Yeah,
That's so
yeah,
unoriginal, Sean. What's wrong with you? That's so unoriginal.
Well, I mean that sounds
I
more like the premise of a
read
television
as
show.
this-
That
mean-
sounds like more like the premise of a television show. It's like you get
Or
turned
an
into a
opera.
fly, and then you get to live in this house, and then it's the adventures of you living in this house as a half man, half fly.
Yeah, it sounds more like a movie that was made in the 30s that was then remade into a film in the 80s starring Jeff Goldblum.
and then remade into an opera in the 2010s.
Yes.
Which is now being remade into a television show by us.
Such
Okay.
is life.
So what would be the main plot line? Because I feel like the whole him transforming into a fly was kind of the big deal. Is this like a Kafka's Metamorphosis situation? Does he do it multiple times?
It's
or...
episodic. He turns into a different insect every episode.
Oh, that's sweet!
Okay, so it's Quantum Leap for bugs.
Exactly. Oh boy, I like this. He has a special
Wow.
sidekick now. His sidekick is a spider.
Uh,
Oh, and
It's about time somebody made Spider Boy.
And the sidekick always wants to eat him because he's a different insect every episode. But the drama of the episode, each episode is him trying to keep the spider from eating him, whilst also trying to solve whatever insect problems that the particular insect that he transformed into had. You know, like maybe he has to solve some kind of insect murder, or maybe he has to heal some insect relationship. There's a broken marriage between the two crickets, and he has to heal that bond there. I like it. It's powerful drama.
So it's like reality TV then.
No, it's Quantum Leap. Only it's insects.
wait, wasn't there
Did
already...
you ever see Quantum Leap?
Yes.
Wasn't there already an 80s TV show like Beast Man or something, like a guy who could transform into animals, except we're doing that show except for insects now.
yeah. And every single time he transforms into an insect, it's an experiment with teleportation gone wrong. And the idea is you'd think he'd learn after the first time, but he doesn't. He very much
They never
doesn't.
do.
I'm
They
trying to
never
think,
do.
like,
Maybe they wipe his memory after each episode.
Well, you made me think of, Ian, was the 1980s George R.R. Martin show. You know which one I'm talking about?
no?
You mean the Beauty and the Beast?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The one with the dude Ron Perlman. Ron
Yeah.
Perlman.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that guy looks so cool, and that makeup was so awesome. It was so perfect.
I'm trying to remember, because there was an 80s TV show. I'm guessing the comment section is going to be all over this, where there was it only lasted like a season, but it was some sort of a show where a guy could actually turn into animals. It was an 80s TV show, and it didn't last very long.
I mean, Manimal?
Manimal, thank you.
Oh, and we could call this this opera turned TV show Minsect.
Insect.
Based off of
Eh.
the movie The Fly.
I like it.
So we've got a movie from the 30s that was roughly based off of Kafka's Metamorphosis, remade into a movie from the 80s, remade into an opera from 2010, now being made into a TV series.
In
Yes.
2020.
Such is life.
This has been like this has been like a human centipede of weird
Oh.
adaptation.
Season
Why do you gotta bring that up?
To a human
Oh.
centipede.
Oh.
That's the spin-off.
Oh. Oh, you guys are gross.
That
right.
movie exists.
And it has a sequel,
It has 2 sequels.
which is just even sadder for humanity.
Yeah.
We could spin this off into like a whole like freaking insect man hybrid universe.
All right, so now are we going to go into the details of Human Centipede, the series? Is that going to be the next topic?
No.
I think the less said about that right now, the better.
Well, who should
Agreed.
go first with our actual ideas of adaptation?
That
Ian
wasn't
said
an
he had a
actual
really good
idea.
one.
I
Wait,
thought
that-
that was solid.
We've been going for 13 minutes and you didn't propose an actual idea.
That was solid. I thought that was a good idea.
Yeah, well, we riffed on it for a while, but no, that's not my actual idea.
Okay, all right, fine. Ian, what's your idea then?
All right, so mine's a bit more like straightforward. So who remembers the movie? And I'm not going to tell you any details. Who remembers the movie Next?
Nope.
You mean the one with God, Nicolas Cage?
Yes, that one.
Oh God,
I'm not
yes,
ready.
I remember that. Wasn't it? What? That's the movie that ended where it was technically all a dream.
Sort of. Not really. Kind of.
No, wait, it wasn't all a dream. It was a premonition.
So, okay, here's the thing. I saw the problem is the movie Next in 2007 played out like your standard Nicolas Cage action film. That's all it was. It was just a Nicolas Cage action film, except that the entire premise of the film I think would better suit a television series than just a one-off action film that everyone probably got together, made a little bit of money off of, and then moved on with their lives.
Okay, let me set this up then for everybody who doesn't know.
Oh yeah.
All right, so the movie Next is about Nicolas Cage who plays a magician. And Nicolas Cage
No.
has he plays a magician, That's his day job.
Oh,
However,
According to IMDb, which I have open right now.
yeah,
The
let me
Las
see.
Vegas
Let me
magician.
no, wait. Let me see if I get it right. I want to make sure I get it right.
Yeah.
So he's a Las Vegas magician, but he has a superpower, and his superpower is that he can see 2 minutes into the future, and then he can use that information to basically prevent things from happening to himself. But he has some kind of a vision about this girl, and he goes and he finally meets this girl, and for some reason they get involved with some kind of a terrorist plot to set off a nuclear bomb. How close am I on this?
Yeah, you're pretty much spot on so far.
Okay, and then they find the nuclear, or no. The terrorists capture the girl. Nicolas Cage has to go save the girl. He saves the girl, but he finds out that the terrorists got away and they set off the nuclear bomb. But then at the end, it turns out that they didn't set off the nuclear bomb because all of this was actually a premonition, because Nicolas Cage could somehow now see more than 2 minutes into the future.
He can
And now,
when he's with Jessica Biel, he has the ability to see more than 2 minutes into the future. We're not really sure how far forward. We just know it was at least a week. So he used his ability to look a week into the future and go, oh, I know where the bomb's going off. And then he contacts the FBI and goes, hey, feds, I know where the bomb's going to go off. And then they go, great. And then everyone just goes to stop the terrorist plot. But I was just like, that's such a... It's such a minimalist script. It was basically just, here's a Nick Cage action film, and that's it. It was just a Nick Cage action film, but I'm just like, you could get such a good premise for a TV show out of that. That's an amazing premise for a TV show about a guy who can always look just a little bit into the future, just 2 minutes. There's an entire sequence where he literally pulls a heist and walks through an entire casino just walking around the FBI agents. Like, just whenever they look left, he goes right. Whenever they look right, he goes left. And he just, like, without knocking anyone out, he just walks out of the casino. And all of the guys watching on cameras are going, what the hell? Why aren't you guys looking at him? He's right there. And then they turn around and he walks behind them. It's just... It's such a great idea, but they did it for this one-off Nicolas Cage film that came out 13 years ago that nobody remembers.
Because it's
So,
Nicolas Cage.
Your
movie.
synopsis of this movie immediately made me think this sounds just like a Philip K. Dick story.
Which
And
one?
I go on to
Yeah.
IMDb. It turns out it's based on a Philip K.
Philip
Dick.
K. Dick
Aha!
story. Yeah.
And that makes me think, what if you were to get... Well, have you guys seen the show Man in the High Castle?
No.
Yes, I have.
So
I have.
that was a great show. I think you could easily, on any of his short story or short novels, whatever length they are, turn it into a TV show. So yeah,
Yeah, Man in the High Castle was actually solid.
Yeah.
That's a really good show.
I didn't understand the ending at all.
Was that the one
I haven't
about...
seen the ending.
Was that the one with, like, Nazis taking over modern day stuff?
Kind of.
Yeah, it's that you're thinking of the right one. It's a little
Nazis
more
win World
complicated
War
than
II.
that.
I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
Nazis
but
win World War II, and then they conquer America, and they split America between them and the Japanese.
Yeah.
So...
And then all kinds of crazy stuff happens, but then it turns out that there's a film from our world, the real
Right,
world,
yeah.
that shows where the Nazis lost like they did in real history, and the Nazis don't want that film to exist because it gives people hope, and that's about as far as I got into it.
Yeah,
Wait, you're describing Wolfenstein New Blood.
Am
very,
I?
very likely based or inspired by the novel Man in the High Castle.
Probably. I mean, Wolfenstein New Blood is kind of along the same lines, except Nazis have, like, wizard powers and a moon base and also a base on Venus, and it really gets stupid in the later sequels.
They have a moon base on your penis?
No, they have a
What?
moon base and a base on Venus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, your audio,
Yeah, they've got-
kind of.
No, yeah, no, the Nazis have invented intergalactic travel in Wolfenstein. It's weird.
Strange.
Yeah. But no, like,
And yet somehow still plagiarizing Philip K. Dick.
yes.
I love it.
Yes. But no,
cut print.
I always thought that Next could have been a much more interesting concept for a TV series. You could have entire seasons where he and the lady like are separated, or she starts to develop powers herself. It's sort of like a low key superhero show without necessarily superheroes. It's just people who can see briefly into the future. Like think of an entire fight sequence where one character just knows every punch you're about to throw, and so it's just dodge, dodge, dodge. Gun comes out, dodge the bullet, knife comes out, dodge the knife, and like the entire time he just does not get hit, but he also doesn't throw a punch at all. Just dodges the whole thing until finally the guy just
Luke Skywalker, Kylo Ren lightsaber fight. That's what you're describing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but imagine like a 5-minute sequence where it's more like choreographed than that. I just thought that would make for a cool scene.
If both people could see 2 minutes in the future, how would that?
Yeah.
Oh, so now we're doing Sherlock Holmes, the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes sequel.
Wait.
I don't know if I ever saw the sequel.
Oh.
I like the first one, but
Yeah, there's a fight at the end where they're both basically like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this," and then the guy's like, "Yes, but if you do this, then I'm going to do this."
Yeah, Moriarty and
basically
Sherlock
have a fight in their minds.
Yeah, Moriarty and Sherlock kind of just like they basically choreograph an entire fight scene in their brains, and then when it comes down to the real fight scene, I mean, spoilers. Do you care about spoilers about a 10-year-old film?
Well, here's the thing. It plays out. They play out the fight in their mind while simultaneously playing chess.
Yes. But then once the real fight actually happens, Sherlock kind of improvises something and
easily wins the fight. Let's
yeah,
just say that.
It sort of brings it to a stalemate, really, because like they
No. He wins that fight because if you remember at the very end of the movie, remember what happens.
Yes, I do remember what happens at the very end of the film.
I don't see spoilers, by the way.
You don't care. If you don't care about spoilers, then spoilers. Everybody listening to this. Basically, Sherlock improvises an ending to the fight by just throwing himself and the bad guy over a cliff. But he survives.
Is it a waterfall?
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't that actually
It's
the plot of one of the
Reichenbach.
stories?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's the Reichenbach Fall. Yes.
Yeah, it is. It's exactly that.
That's totally a great spoiler there. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, anybody who's read Sherlock, anybody who's read Sherlock Holmes knows this story. But for the people who don't read Sherlock Holmes and haven't seen the movie, I didn't want to spoil it for those people. But
Weird that in the first sequel they'd already go to like the last story or
right?
Yeah.
That's the thing that irritated me the most. It was like, why do you go to like the second story just because it's the most famous? Well, you could have had so much.
They had to introduce Moriarty because Moriarty's the most like bankable character in the Sherlock Holmes series, other than Sherlock Holmes. I don't think they had to do Reichenbach right away, but that's what they ended up doing. I don't know. The sequel wasn't great.
Okay, tangent. Can I just say I hate whenever like movies take serialized characters and villains and like, hey, we have to introduce and kill off the villain in the same movie just because we don't want to plan for a sequel. That stuff drives me crazy. I hate it when the Batman movies do it. I hate it when this does it. That kind of thing just always drives me up the wall. It's like these villains should be fleshed out in more than what one movie can allow.
Yeah, it's always been kind of stupid. That was one of the reasons why I love the Christopher Nolan Batman movies the most, because they don't kill off the character. They don't kill, like the first movie, they don't kill off Scarecrow. And the second movie, technically, they didn't kill off Joker. There was a plan to use Joker.
Come back, but
Joker just died in real life.
So much more than with Joker and Two-Face.
Then real life killed the Joker, and
yeah.
So it's just kind of like real life sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then there was the meth head Joker that showed up in Suicide Squad.
And he didn't die.
No, he didn't. Probably should have though.
Although everybody wanted him to.
Yeah,
and look at the Spider-Man movies. Same thing. Green Goblin, Doc Ock. Like a lot of. I mean, okay, Sandman left. Give him that. But like, I'm talking about the Raimi series. Just to be clear. Like, you're not gonna be able to set up a Spider-Verse or a Sinister Six kind of thing if you're gonna kill off Doc Ock right away. You're gonna kill off Green Goblin right away. I mean, okay, they brought back his kid, but still.
Yeah, and then they do it a lot. They do it a lot of the Marvel movies too.
Yeah.
Like I think, like what was it? Like Iron Man 1, they killed off the villain.
Mhm.
Iron Man 2, didn't they kill off the villain in Iron Man 2? And then I think they killed
Yeah.
off the villain in
Yeah.
Incredible Hulk.
All right, so
They killed off
just
one of the villains in Incredible Hulk. They left another one open
Yeah.
in case they ever want to use them again, but they haven't.
Yeah.
It's like I think every Marvel, like almost every, at least the introductory movies for each character, they kill off a villain.
I feel like I remember hearing somewhere that like one of the plot lines for Black Panther 2 was gonna be that Killmonger didn't actually die or something. Am I misremembering that?
Which makes absolutely no sense
None,
whatsoever.
and
knows?
completely derails the actual ending because Killmonger dying, saying, I would rather die than have to
In prison.
serve than be imprisoned. Yeah, that's kind of a big deal. You can't just be like, oh, by the way, he survived. It's like, well, that just kind of negates the whole emotional impact of that film.
Now,
That character.
one movie that I think did that well though, Homecoming, Spider-Man: Homecoming, having the Vulture go to jail, Scorpion being in the jail. It's like, okay, yeah, we can kind of see something coming from this.
Yeah, but that's clearly almost like clearly an attempt by the studio to be like, yeah, we want to do a Sinister Six movie,
Yeah,
and it's like I would give them credit for not killing off the character if I knew for a fact they weren't trying to do a Sinister Six movie.
fair. Also, I apologize. I just realized I pretty much derailed that entire talk.
Yeah, that's pretty much
Sorry.
Wait, what was your original idea again?
Next, turn it into a TV show.
Okay, next. I was gonna say something about. Oh yeah, there was also like a. Wasn't there a Denzel Washington movie?
Oh,
Was basically
Deja
the
Vu.
Yes.
Mhm.
I was trying to think of like I know there's a Denzel Washington movie that's basically the exact same movie.
Deja Vu is fantastic, and it's one of my favorite examples of filmmaking of a movie that doesn't have a second act.
That's fair.
Yeah, no, it like
Just kind of jump straight to the Act 3.
yeah, it goes from setup, like the first hour is nothing but setup, and then just jumps right into the third act climax. Like there's nothing else. It's just all set. Yeah, it's because the 3 act structure of Act 1 setup, Act 2 here's the B plot and the rising action and all that. Act 3 is the climax. Act 1 lasts about an hour, and then Act 3 lasts about 30 minutes. It's kind of amazing how there isn't really a second act to that film.
Act 2 is the 30 seconds in between.
Act 2 is when he jumps back in time.
Yeah, that's Act 2. That's all of it. That's the entirety of Act 2.
By the way, spoiler alert, the movie Deja Vu starring Denzel Washington uses time travel.
Which is an incredibly difficult trope to use, but still, it actually pulls it off effectively. I like that movie.
I would actually love to go on a quick tangent. I feel like more movies and TV shows especially should use time travel. Just like, by the way, we have access to this, and not have it be a sci-fi show. Because I feel like time travel as a storytelling trope can be really fascinating, but it's almost always relegated to some sort of a science fiction show because we have to explain how it works. We have to explain the minutia about it. We have to do the whole like temporal, flux and whatnot. And we shouldn't be messing with all this. But there's a really good movie that Marla showed me actually, and I feel like this could also be made into a series. It's a movie called About Time.
Wait, I'm trying.
What's it about? Time?
Yeah, what is it about?
Well, it's about time.
I've never heard of it. I've never heard of it.
Okay, so it's Rachel McAdams and some British guy whose name I'm completely blanking on. But basically, the guy is told on his, I want to say 18th birthday by his dad, by the way, son, we can time travel. just kind of, they spend an entire scene establishing it. We can time travel. You have to be in a dark room. You have to like concentrate really hard, and then you can go back to specific events within your timeline. But you have this ability once you turn 18. Then they have a whole discussion. You shouldn't use this for monetary value or for monetary gain because it's never going to get you anywhere. You should mostly use this to sort of better yourself and understand the cosmos and this sort of thing. They spend like 5 minutes kind of establishing the rules, and then the rest of the story is just about him living his life, but he can also use time travel. Like, he tries to go back in time and help his sister deal with an abusive boyfriend. But upon doing so, it creates ripples of other events that happen. So he decides to just, okay, I'm going to undo that, and instead I'm just going to, be supportive of my sister and try and help her out after she deals with it. He goes back in time and meets Rachel McAdams' character, and she's wonderful and we get along really well. But then he does time travel to help his friend, and I never meet Rachel McAdams' character. Oh no, except that then he figures out a way to meet her anyway, and they end up getting together, and it's this kind of chaotic, constantly changing and shifting and flowing perspective of just a guy going through his life. It's not necessarily one trope of you shouldn't mess with time travel. It's just some dude sort of looking through his past, looking through his life, and just understanding things better. And I think it's a fascinating story that just so happens to use time travel. Time travel's not the, like, we've invented time travel, let's take this to the government. It's nothing like that. It's just like a dude living his life and then eventually realizing that he doesn't need all this science-y mumbo-jumbo to sort of appreciate his life, that sort of thing, And I always thought that would be kind of an interesting story idea, to create an entire television series based around a character or multiple characters who can manipulate time, but mostly like uses it to improve themselves as people, that sort of thing. Like an organic story, like what How I Met Your Mother was trying to do for the early seasons, except also incorporate time travel in it. I don't know.
I gotta be honest with you, I hate every single one of those people that can time travel. Right now, I hate all of them.
It's also the actor is General Hux from the Star Wars series.
That's who it was.
God,
I remember that now.
now I definitely hate them.
That was
You're gonna time travel, and you're not gonna go back in time and prevent Donald Trump from ever becoming president, or stop Hitler, or
he can
set off some kind of nuclear weapon, or
Did you read that story that Matt Jacobson shared with us?
Yes.
Our professor from college. He's a science fiction aficionado, and there's one where I wish I could remember the name of the story, and we'll probably find out here when this is posted, but it's like a message board of people who are time travelers.
Yes.
And they have like a notification at the top saying like, we know it's tempting, but don't go back in time and kill Hitler because yada 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 is gonna break up the thing. And this one guy's like, you guys are so racist. He's like, everyone's like, what are you talking about? Like, killing Hitler would be like the opposite of racist. He's like, yeah, but like Pol Pot in Cambodia killed however many more people, and you never care about those people.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then at the end of that one, he goes back in time to kill Pol Pot, and it turns out he was related to him, so he ceases to exist.
Nice.
See, that's the other problem, is that wouldn't that create a paradox? Like, you go back in time, you mess with the timeline, and then, this person no longer exists. Well, now there's no reason for you to go back in time.
Yeah, that's the classic.
Multiverse, buddy. Multiverse.
That's that BS that you're getting in too deep with it. Just let it be. It makes sense. You went back in time, you killed Pol Pot, you were related to Pol Pot, now you don't exist. It's clean. I like it. There's no more questions. Just everybody asking anybody asking any of that paradoxical bullshit should just get shouted down with just a horn, like those Hans Zimmer Bois horns. It's just drowned out. It's like, yeah, but what about the paradox of nerd? Shut up, nerd.
Can I just say I really like how Dragon Ball handled time travel, and I think they handled it some of the best I've seen on TV, and just leave it at that.
Wasn't that the multiverse idea?
Wasn't that the one? Isn't that the idea where it's just like I go back in time, but I can't actually change my own future? I just change a future.
Yeah. You just create a new timeline, yeah.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it. Now, granted, they kind of screwed it up in Dragon Ball Super, but I don't want to get too much into that.
It's not clean enough. It's like you go back in time, you change the past, then you disappear. That's it. That's how it should go. You disappeared.
That's how Back to the Future did it.
Yeah, exactly. Back to the Future rules.
But wait, no, didn't Avengers Endgame say that the Back to the Future rules
Perfect time travel
didn't.
rules. Perfect time travel rules. Back to the Future rules. Perfect time travel rules.
But Avengers Endgame actually made fun of it. They talked about how it... I'm just waiting for someone to say blah at this point.
Nerd blah. I was taking a sip of water. You caught me while I was swallowing. Anyway, okay, is it my turn?
Yeah. Like we've talked about our ideas. Sean, what's yours?
Okay, I have several. Okay, so my first one was it's a video game. I wanted to see Uncharted, but as like a television series.
Cool.
Like, because obviously you see like the adventures that he has in the games, but I want to see like all the shit he did in the middle, in between times.
So what you're saying is you want Firefly to come back for a second season?
No, Firefly is not Uncharted. Uncharted is not. No,
it's
no,
the exact
no, it is
same.
not.
It's just in space.
No, it's not.
The comic
Alex
section.
is gonna
Uncharted-
punch you in the face, Ian.
Uncharted is Tomb Raider meets Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Firefly is
Nothing to do with that.
Is like
Hang on.
It's like Clint Eastwood meets Luke Skywalker.
Hang on, I gotta find an old YouTube video that corroborates what I'm saying here.
Which, ironically, would be interesting. Clint Eastwood meets Luke Skywalker. I wonder what they were talking about. But not like young Luke Skywalker. Like Clint Eastwood meets old Luke Skywalker. And I have a feeling that it would be an interesting. You know what? That's my second idea. Clint Eastwood and old Luke Skywalker move into an apartment together.
Would it be young Clint Eastwood or like Gran Torino Clint Eastwood?
No, Gran Torino Clint Eastwood.
I don't know. It'd be even better if it's like a fistful of dollars Clint Eastwood. He's like real young, or I don't actually know how old he was, but a lot younger. And then it's old man Luke.
You know
That's
what?
all I got.
You know what? Any combination of old Luke Skywalker and any age Clint Eastwood would probably be. But I specifically want to see Gran Torino Clint Eastwood and old Luke Skywalker move into an apartment together, and it's kind of like The Odd Couple, but or Grumpy Old Men.
So
a television series of that.
So real quick, if everyone wants to take a moment and watch, I just posted a YouTube video called "Hey Ash, What You Playing," which is an old video game comedy series from like mid 2000s. They do an entire episode where they show all of the correlations between Uncharted and Firefly and how very similar they are. I'm just saying, you gotta watch that.
Are you asking us to pause the podcast
Yeah,
recording
seriously.
to go watch a video and then come back to the podcast? I'm sorry, no.
We don't have time for this foolishness.
We can fix it in post. It's fine.
I got it, Ian.
Besides, they are not the same. Okay, Uncharted is just because Nathan Drake in Uncharted has a similar personality to real life Nathan Fillion.
By the way, did anyone see the Uncharted short film that they made with Nathan Fillion?
Just because Nathan Fillion is somewhat associated with Uncharted does not mean that
They made an Uncharted
Firefly.
short film with Nathan Fillion. They did
That's
it already.
only because
So what? He also played Captain Hammer. That doesn't mean
Exactly.
Dr. Horrible is part of the Uncharted Firefly multiverse or something.
Nolan North and Nathan Fillion are not the same person.
You don't want to know.
All right, guys. I'll fill you in on whatever it is you want me to fill you in on. What is it?
Wait,
No.
what?
What are we
Never
doing?
What?
What tangent did I force everyone into?
I don't know.
I don't know what Nathan's talking about right now, but all I know
Fill
is that.
you in?
Oh my god. Oh dear God.
Sean, you said you had a list. Shall we move on to another item on the list?
Sean, let's continue down your list.
I got a list too, and we've been going for a while.
I can't. Jim, go, because Nathan's just derailed me with this pun. A ridiculous
I didn't even
pun.
hear what he said.
I blame Jim.
I said
I don't
the
even
name.
know what you're doing.
I said the name Nathan Fillion, and he goes and pulls that he needs to fill us in on something.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nathan.
That's great.
I'm both proud and disappointed of you.
That's fantastic. I'm
Your
happy.
fault.
Oh
So,
God.
Okay, so I didn't quite go into as much detail as you guys did. I kind of came up with like a good rapid fire list of like, here are things I would love to see as a show.
Okay.
For example, and I'm honestly surprised Ian didn't say this, I would love to see a Magic the Gathering Planeswalker show.
No.
Because there's a lot of story in those cards
No.
sets.
That's actually.
I don't care.
No.
Um,
I want to
I
see
don't
that.
care.
I will
watch it.
gladly go on a tangent as to why that would fail.
Ian, we don't have 5 hours.
Yeah.
Second thing, Mega Man. Now, there's been a few series, but the Archie comic series that was put on hiatus, quote unquote, a while back, actually was a really good storyline that really fleshed out the world, and I would love to have seen that done as a cartoon. I think that would have been a really good video game to comic to TV transition. I think would have done well. I'm gonna assume none of you have read those comics because I'm such a geek.
Nope.
I only read the Sonic the Hedgehog comics. I didn't read the Mega Man one.
Which had crossovers for the record. Third, I don't know how many of you guys are DC comic readers, but this is something that I think is too long for a movie, too short for a TV series, maybe like a mini series kind of thing.
Sure.
I would love to see Blackest Night. Either animated or
Okay.
acted, probably animated, honestly, but
Interesting. Okay.
I did not hear what Ian said.
I said interesting. No, yeah, that
It's the-
that would be interesting actually.
For those of you who haven't read it, Blackest Night greatly expands on the Green Lantern Corps storyline, essentially bringing in the other members of the light emotional spectrum, as well as going into Brightest Day and bringing in the essentially giant spirit beasts that represent each of the powers of the rings. Parallax is the big one people know of, the yellow one that possessed Hal Jordan, as well as the other ones for the different members and the different Lantern Corps. Really an immense story, brings back a lot of characters that were killed off in DC and having them deal with, oh my God, my wife, husband, baby, girlfriend, whatever, is now back as a zombie through the Black Lantern Corps. Great storyline. I highly recommend looking into that if you haven't.
And also Tupac.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, because you have to be dead.
Ooh.
Because Tupac is dead, but he got the power of the Black Lantern ring. Because when he died, as soon as he died, the Black Lantern ring found him and said, "Tupac, you are the dopest, blackest motherfucker on the face of the planet Earth, and we are gonna bring you back to life. So you put on this black ring right here."
So Tupac is in charge of death now?
Tupac is the leader of the Black Lantern Corps because he's the blackest motherfucker alive.
But that means he's in charge of death.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right? Like he was ready to die. This is the name of his fucking album. He was ready to die. He was ready to die because he knew exactly what was going to happen. He was going to put on that Black Lantern ring, and he was going to rule. He was going to rule the Black Lantern Corps. Because he's the blackest motherfucker alive.
I wrote this song a long time ago. A
real long time ago. He wrote this song in '94.
The
Dave
last
Chappelle. Sorry.
The last thing I have on my list, and I'll be done. For those of you who don't know, I am a huge Doctor Who nerd.
Woo.
To the extent that I have gone beyond the show and been reading books and listening to audio dramas. There
That
are
would
some
actually
out
make
there.
a really good TV show. You're right, Jim.
There are no. I'm being legit serious, Nathan. There are some stories that I'm amazed they haven't tried to adapt or whatnot. The 8th and 6th Doctors, especially, they get shafted as far as movie and TV shows go, but audio adventures, phenomenal. There are some great ones that bring back David Tennant and Catherine Tate for you 10th Doctor fans out there. Torchwood essentially has a season 5 in the form of the audio dramas. There's audio dramas around Jack's background, River Song. There's even stories on Winston Churchill after the Doctor's adventures with him. Like, there's some crazy cool stories out there that I wish that they would turn into TV shows or find a way to carry on. So I highly recommend people look into those.
Okay, so I'm confused. Isn't Doctor Who already a TV show?
See, you were listening to Nathan. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm saying there are stories out there that don't exist in the TV show.
This
I'm
is
talking
another.
expanded universe.
This is another instance of the Fly movie turning into the opera turning into the TV show kind of thing.
Fair enough. Or like imagine people who say that the Star Wars expanded universe. Why do we why do we get no Mara Jade Skywalker? Making her a movie, that's kind of something like going to the expanded universe, saying, hey, this should be made into TV show material along with the stuff that's out there. That's what I was getting at with that.
There is a lot of Doctor Who audio dramas like that sort of just touch on just other characters that are not the Doctor, but also there are audio dramas that touch on doctors that are a bit too old to show on TV now, but hey, their voices sound the same, so we can get the Fourth Doctor and the Angels.
Now, to be fair, that didn't stop Peter Davison back in 2008, 2009. But yeah, I mean they've been doing. They have a series made a few years back called Classic Doctors, Modern Monsters, something like that. I can't remember exactly. Where they put like the fourth and the eighth Doctors up against the Vashta Narada, the fifth Doctor against the Weeping Angels. Like lots of what if these old Doctors met these newer enemies? Things like that, which is just fantastic. I highly recommend.
And what if all the old Doctors got together and fought Thanos for the Infinity Gauntlet? Infinity Doctor Who's.
I've actually thought about that before, a similar thing before. What would have happened if, say, for example, one of the Doctors, let's just say, for example, the 10th Doctor or something, came to Earth in New York in 2015 and
got bit by a radioactive spider? I know it would.
No. How dare you?
I knew exactly where you were going with this. Then another one of the Doctors could go into an experimental facility in Las Vegas and get hit by gamma rays and turn into a big giant green rage Doctor. I know, it's just perfect.
I'm just thinking, because the
Doctor Hook.
No, the problem with the Doctor is that he always finds a way to sort of weasel his way out of stuff. I'm just curious how he weasels. Yeah. He always
Doctor Who America.
Problem? Doctor Who America. How is that a problem?
Because there's always a way for the Doctor to solve whatever issue he's in within 45 minutes or 90 minutes.
Well, that's just TV in general, but I mean he doesn't always win.
But I have a really good idea.
I'm curious how the and befriends a German scientist who then injects him with a serum that turns him into a big giant a big giant man with the strength of 10 men.
Kilgrave. I was wondering what would happen if the Doctor went up against Kilgrave.
Doctor Who against Killmonger.
Oh, he wants David Tennant versus David Tennant. That's all it is. Okay. That was what the buildup was for.
I'm just curious what would happen if the Doctor went up against Kilgrave. Would he be resistant to the whole "you have to do everything I say" thing?
I mean, it depends on how they want to write it. On the one hand, they could make it so that he isn't, and he has to find a workaround for that. They could also do the whole timey-wimey shtick where it's like, no, he's such a complicated temporal event that it's like his mind cannot be controlled in some way, shape, or form. They play around with like psychic powers with the Doctors in various ways over the years, and it's kind of uncertain.
Midnight?
David Tennant versus David Tennant.
Fair.
Yeah. But, okay, so I've actually got a couple of ideas that have sort of popped into my head as time has gone on. I could go on a quick rant about why the Magic the Gathering television series would be a bad idea, but
we're not going to do that.
Okay, then I have a much more...
spare us all that.
I have a much more interesting idea. The SCP Foundation.
No.
Yes.
God, I hate when he does this. Okay, go ahead.
I love the SCP Foundation. Who knows what the SCP Foundation is?
Only from hearing you talk about it ad nauseum.
Well,
this is on the nauseum.
Well, okay. Well, the problem with that is that there's no general agreed upon centralized story. There's just everybody just. It's crowdsourced. It's a crowdsourced story.
Well, yeah, that is the biggest issue, and is why SCP has always had difficulty trying to adapt to a different medium. Is that it's all under Creative Commons. Like, to be able to get the the rights to be able to do SCP stories, I mean, at minimum, I think there's more, but 3,000 different SCPs, and each one is written by a different author. Like, I don't think it's 3,000 different authors, but it's probably hundreds of different authors, and trying to get the rights to do an entire series based off of that is stuff that people have tried and failed because you have to get the rights from thousands of different authors.
Plus, isn't SCP-1 like 8 different things written by 8 different people?
I mean, it's written by hundreds of different people.
I mean just like one SCP, like SCP-1 is written by like 8 different people because it's 8 different things. Haven't you never read SCP-1?
001. I remember 001 wasn't written for the longest time, and then they finally came up with one, and I can't remember what it was offhand. I'm specifically talking about like the like 106, the dude who can walk through walls.
I'm aware. I'm just saying, SCP-1 basically, or maybe it's 0. I can't remember which one it was, but whatever the first SCP is, basically got turned into like 8 different entries, and the whole premise is that the real one, whatever the real one is actually being hidden. So it's like we'll show you all 8 of these. And I guess you just have to pick which one you think is the real one, but we're not going to tell you which one is actually the real one.
Nathan, I think you're muted. Are you? I don't
Probably
know.
intentional.
No, he's been there. He just hasn't said anything.
Okay. I was just making sure because it looked like Nathan was talking at one point.
You can't hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. I was just asking you to. Because I pulled up the wiki. I was unaware of this SCP thing.
So, okay, for a brief rundown for those who don't know and for Nathan, the SCP Foundation was originally created from a 4chan thread of people sharing creepy images and creating like government a government database based off of where these creepy images come from. And so what they are is just a bunch of like essentially it's like a government agency that catalogs supernatural things. They can be a giant stone statue that only moves when you're looking at it. They invented the weeping angels before Doctor Who, by the way. There's a man who can walk through walls, and whenever he touches you, your entire body like disintegrates and whatnot. There's a bunch of creepy ones, but there's a bunch of just random supernatural ones. Like there's a cat who, depending on how the cat feels about you, will either turn you into another cat to play with or turn you into a tiny mouse and eat you. There's a toaster that can only be referred to in the third person, or no, in the first person. So whenever you're talking about the toaster, it's like, hello, I am SCP number blah, blah, blah. I am a toaster. And so whenever someone's describing the toaster, they can only describe it in that way. And the idea is that there's thousands of these supernatural entities that have been cataloged on this website, but really they're just people who are finding creepy pictures online and coming up with backstories as to what this is supposed to be, where it comes from, why it exists, and the supernatural elements that are about it. And
here's a question for you on that. So are you picturing this more as something like a modern day version of Are You Afraid of the Dark type of storytelling, or this be more like a Black Mirror kind of thing, or something more like Stranger Things where it's one complete narrative with all these things kind of involved?
Or is it like X-Files?
I'm thinking more along the lines of X-Files or Warehouse 13, if anyone's ever watched Warehouse 13. Warehouse 13 is basically the closest we've ever come to an actual SCP series, but it was more lighthearted, goofy, and comical. I was thinking of something that was more creepy and supernatural. Like the only thing that we've actually had that is a media, I'm using air quotes here, a media type thing was a video game called SCP Containment Breach, where you're actually inside the SCP Foundation when a containment breach happens and all the SCPs break out at the same time, and you have to figure out a way to get out of the entire Foundation without getting killed by the random supernatural monsters yourself. That's the closest we've ever gotten to someone actually creating a narrative around it. But there's...
not really. There was a recent video game. I don't know if you heard about this one.
SCP Containment Breach.
No, it's called Control.
Oh yes, Control. I forgot about that. I completely forgot. Yeah, no, Control is
Control is
basically
actually probably I would say Control is much closer.
yeah. Control is basically the SCP. It's basically an SCP game without actually being called SCP.
Yeah.
And SCP stands for Secure, Contain, Protect. I just like it's such a fascinating universe they've created about this gigantic government run warehouse that just deals with supernatural entities. But the biggest issue is because it's written by hundreds of different people, getting the rights to try and adapt it into a movie or a screenplay or a television series is a nightmare. Like people have tried to make books about it and they still can't quite figure out all the logistics because it's like who do we pay royalties to? What if some people say no? What if some people say yes? Where did the original, story come from? That sort of thing.
Nathan, what was your question?
I think you kind of answered it. My original question was just, you know, oh, I know what you're saying. So I was going to say, this reminds me very heavily of like creepypasta.
Yeah.
I think it started
Honestly?
as a creepypasta.
Yes.
if I'm not
Honestly,
mistaken.
I would totally watch a show that's like like I was saying, or like a modern day, like Are You Afraid of the Dark about creepypastas, only if one, it had the same level of intensity as something like Black Mirror,
Mhm.
and two, if they're gonna, create these creatures that only exist in the text in our minds or in single images, it would have to be done very well. Like
Yeah.
I would like to see like Stranger Things style,
Yeah.
because like the way they do the creatures in Stranger Things, something like that I think would look really good.
I don't
I
know how
think-
we feel about plugging other podcasts, and I suppose,
If we
I don't
like
really
them.
care.
If
Go
we
ahead.
like them.
well, there's a podcast called Creepy, which
No,
is
fuck
like
those guys. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Never even heard of them.
that you actually knew them, and there's like, so I was like, uh-oh, I
views-
recommend.
Nah,
views
I'm
of
kidding.
Jim-
I'm sure y'all are great.
The
Also,
views
is
of
this
Jim
the?
do not reflect the views of the JCU crew and JCU podcast.
By the way, is this the first time we've swore on the podcast?
I'm pretty
Did
sure.
I drop our
Honestly,
first
I don't
F bomb? Did I drop our
No
first F
fucking
bomb?
No, I'm pretty sure I did earlier when I said that Tupac was the blackest motherfucker alive.
Oh, there it is.
Touche. Touche.
Well, if you don't like swearing, and you learn this like 2 hours into our second episode, you shouldn't listen to the first one either.
Well, I'm just like it's not about liking swearing or not. It's about the whole like whether or not we'll be,
He's worried about YouTube algorithms.
and also
But
about whether or
we're
not.
we're deep into the episode at this point, so it's not actually a problem.
Just
Right.
make
It's
sure
only
YouTube
with the
knows
first
that we're
30
not targeting
seconds.
kids. That's all you gotta do.
Well, yeah, but
Well,
also
I
we need
think
to
by
make sure.
using foul language, we can make sure that YouTube knows that we're not targeting children.
Right, but also like we might have to change the podcast to a mature podcast now, which I didn't label it as, but who
Well,
knows?
that's
Or
fair. I mean, we
speak
are
it
very
out.
immature.
I mean, you could just beep it out and post.
Fix it in post.
Yes, because you always love to hear someone say "fix it in post."
Yeah, Ian, fix it in post, damn it.
Well, Ian, do you have any more to say on the SCP Foundation?
I like the SCP Foundation.
Oh,
I
did you?
think they're cool.
All right. Well, I actually had a real suggestion. Can
Ah.
What?
Because if the,
not that I'm saying that Minsects, the adaptation of
Man of all.
the opera,
Minsects
The
was
Five,
solid.
Jeff Goldblum.
I still agree that Minsex is a solid idea and that we should actually try to make that. But go ahead.
Two
with your
thumbs
real
up.
Idea.
2 thumbs up.
But my sincere adaptation, and if you guys know me, I've probably recommended this series of books before. Can you guess?
Yeah.
My
Oh,
favorite
is it
series
the
of
Dark
books-
Tower?
Yeah, my favorite series of books is the Dark Tower series by Stephen King. And if I were to like describe it in a sentence, imagine Lord of the Rings meets The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, as written by Stephen King.
Wasn't that going to be made into a show?
It
or did that get
was.
canceled?
Yeah, so it's got a whole like, so in 2005 or 6, J.J. Abrams was going to make a TV show version of it.
Ooh.
He eventually gave up on it, and then Ron Howard came on board, and he had the idea of making a trilogy of movies with an interceding couple seasons of a TV series, and eventually he gave up
Yeah.
on it. And
I
then
remember
this
that.
Danish
movie.
director. What's that, Sean?
Oh no, go ahead.
this Danish director who had made like an Oscar-nominated Danish movie came on board, and he directed the movie version starring Idris Elba and
Right.
Matthew McConaughey, which was actually it was bad, but it wasn't as bad as everybody says it was. It was
No, it wasn't.
it was kind of mediocre, and
It was
I
just
think
bland.
the pictures were good. I think
think-
it had some cool visuals. I also feel like they tried to cram too much into the movie, and but before they even released the movie, they already had the showrunner come on board to make the TV series that would coincide with it.
Now, was the TV series supposed to follow the movie, or was
So
it supposed
originally,
to just be
yes.
like the original?
Originally, it
was-
was supposed to be a direct sequel to the movie, but the movie bombed, and so it became a reboot. And one of the showrunners from The Walking Dead, and I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but his first name's Glenn. You can look him up. Made a pilot for it, and they were pilot was picked up by Amazon, but then when they watched the pilot, wound up canceling the
That's
series.
Oh, was the pilot bad?
Well, here's the weird thing. So
No one knows.
I know a person who saw the pilot, and he told me personally that it was phenomenal.
Okay.
And apparently, Bear McCreary, the composer for
Oh, yes.
Battlestar Galactica, The Walking Dead, and the recent Godzilla King of the Monsters, wrote a score to the pilot, including songs, which I don't really understand. I guess there are some songs in the books. There's like Velcro Flies in the books by ZZ Top, and so is Hey Jude by the Beatles.
What?
It's a weird series of books. So anyway, that got canceled, and so now there is currently no adaptation in the works. He's
Okay,
hoping
true.
to shop it. That showrunner is hoping to shop it to another platform, but who knows?
Two things. If you don't know who Bear McCreary is, number one, he's basically the composer that also did Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and he also did the music for the God of War game.
Yeah, I have that.
Love
God of
that
War
soundtrack.
It's really good.
So that's one thing. He's awesome. Two, I feel like they probably canceled the series probably because of their deal to make Lord of the Rings.
Well, here's the
Hmm.
thing. So they had 3 fantasy series deals. They had the Lord of the Rings one, which is a prequel series, like in the Second Age or something. Which I'll watch
Mhm.
it. I hope it's good. I don't know if it will be. Then they also have a Wheel of Time adaptation,
Mhm.
is another fantasy series. I read it, a couple of the books back when I was like 13. Didn't like them then. I actually have the first one on my to-read list to see if I like it more now because I want to reread it before the show comes out.
Mhm.
And they had the Dark Tower series, so it's not like they were thinking we're only going to do one fantasy series. They were already doing multiple fantasy series.
Well, no, that's not that's not what I was contending. My contention was that because of the fact that it came out that Lord of the Rings was probably going to be the most expensive television series ever made, that they probably just didn't have the money.
Maybe. But they're also doing an adaptation of the Chinese novel The Three Body Problem, and apparently Amazon is investing $1 billion into a season of that, which sounds like that's also
That sounds
Money.
insane. $1
Yeah,
billion dollars?
Yeah, it's just
That-
there's a
so-
similar amount
so-
going into the Lord of the Rings. So yeah, that
I-
doesn't surprise me.
I don't know that for sure. I read that, and this is complete hearsay, but that is what I read. Now, I've heard that book's really good, though, so maybe it's worth $1 billion.
Yeah,
FYI,
no, 'cause they're putting a lot of money into it because they're trying to bolster their streaming. So they're trying to win the streaming war.
yeah,
like everybody else.
yeah, mostly because every other company decided, oh, Netflix is making a bunch of money. We're just going to charge them zillions of dollars to be able to show our show. That way we can make our own streaming service. And nobody wants to sign up for 9 streaming services.
Especially not CBS All Access.
Nobody wants that. I don't care how good the Star Trek series is. I really want to see the Star Trek series.
Screw them.
So we are coming up on an hour, guys. Just FYI.
Okay.
Sean,
So-
did you have some other things on your list?
For let's see. Oh yeah, I did have one last thing. Was I don't know if any of you ever read or heard of or saw the Percy Jackson movies.
Yep.
I teach middle schoolers. I'm aware of those.
Yeah. So I want to see that as a television series because I feel like that would be way more effective as a television series than it was as they tried to make movies, and that was just dumb. I knew it like as soon as they started. I want to see a television series of that, and I also want to see a television series of oh god, Artemis Fowl.
They're making a movie.
Yeah, I know they're making a movie, but it is literally completely off base from the books.
Yeah.
I haven't seen backlash from a movie trailer like that since Sonic the Hedgehog.
They're making a sequel to that.
Oh yeah.
The backlash for this Artemis Fowl trailer is phenomenal. I haven't seen people like everybody's coming out of the woodwork. It doesn't even matter who you are. It's like you got people coming out of the woodwork because they're racist. You got people coming out of the woodwork because they're sexist. You got people coming out of the woodwork because they like the books and the books are not being properly represented. It's like you got both legitimate and illegitimate reasons, and everybody's coming after this movie.
Maybe we should just stop turning books into movies and just let HBO turn them all into shows. Then everybody can be happy.
Does anyone
Or make movies
remember?
happy.
Well, we should just stop making movies and just make all television shows because I mean, let's be real. Nobody's going back to a movie theater anytime soon.
Does anyone remember A Wrinkle in Time? That was made into a movie and nobody saw it.
Yep.
What movie was that?
A Wrinkle in Time.
I read the whole book series when I was a kid. I loved them.
I didn't know that was a series. I thought it was a single book.
No, there was A Wrinkle in Time, A Wind in the Door, and then there's like a spin-off where they go to the Bible age. Let me look up the books.
I thought you were gonna see, and then there was a spin-off where they go to the Bible.
Well,
Oh, speaking of the Bible, that was another idea. No, seriously.
Too long.
Did you ever see the movie Book of Eli?
Yeah.
I want to see like a sequel television series starring like Mila Kunis's character. Because like remember at the end of the movie Book of Eli, where like spoiler alert, Eli dies.
Well, yeah.
And Mila Kunis's character is basically sent out into the world with like her own Bible and like all of like Eli's weapons and stuff, and now she's got to go make her way in the barren wasteland that is the world. And I'm like, I want to see a television series of her just basically being a badass in the wasteland.
Sort of like Terminator spawning into Sarah Connor Chronicles kind of thing.
Kinda, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Sarah Connor Chronicles. That was pretty
Which
good.
that was kind of a solid TV series, I think. Lena Headey is always
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I'd just like to point out that 2 Game of Thrones actresses portrayed Sarah Connor.
Yeah, Lena Headey and Emilia Clarke.
Yes, that's right. Genesis was terrible.
Yeah, I haven't watched it either. How many movies came after that? Because I
One.
haven't watched them.
After Genesis?
Just one.
Yeah, just the
Wow.
one, just the newest one that starred Linda Hamilton as Sarah Connor again.
I haven't seen a single Terminator movie since Terminator 3.
I
That was the
liked
end for
You
me.
were
Terminator 3.
you were
I
wise
liked
to do so.
Terminator
That's
3.
fine. That's perfectly fine.
That was
You know,
a
I
wise decision on your part.
almost went back just for Matt Smith, and I'm like, no, I just can't.
It's not worth it.
I heard.
He's
I heard.
barely in it. He's barely in it, and it's not. It's no.
Like,
I've seen that movie twice. Once because I just saw it, and then the second time because I was like, that movie can't not have been as bad as I remember it being. Let me watch it again, and I was like, oh god, this really is worse than I remember it being.
it's like there's like 1.5 good Terminator films. It's about
1.5.
Yeah, there's about 1.5 good Terminator
There's
films.
Terminator 2, and then like Terminator 1, like most of Terminator 1, and then the rest are garbage.
Yeah,
No, I'm curious though. Like, what is the 0.5 of this? Why not just 2? Like,
because I can't, like, I've seen the original Terminator, and I guess it was fine for an 80s action film. I just feel like it doesn't hold up as well nowadays, and Terminator 2 is just a rather solid action film, but that's about it.
I'll have to rewatch the first one because I don't remember too much. I know I saw it, but yeah.
It's
Stormbreaker
okay
from it.
for an 80s action film. I don't think it holds up as well today, and I think people are going to be mad at me for that opinion because a lot of like hardcore sci-fi nerds are just like, "Oh, the original Terminator is the best," and I just it's okay. It's fine.
Well, it was also more of like a sci-fi thriller, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Of a horror movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was more of a horror, like sci-fi horror movie. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like the difference between Alien and Aliens.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it is Cameron, so
James
it makes
Cameron,
sense.
yeah.
Wait, James Cameron didn't do the original Terminator, did he?
He did
No.
1 and 2.
He did
really?
1 and 2. Oh, okay. I thought he just
Yeah.
did 2.
Yeah, because one,
He only
one
did
has
2 of Aliens.
one is like definitely his style.
Mm.
Like you can feel that, that
You
this
can
kind
really feel that that was made by the same guy who did Piranha 2.
of. Yeah.
I think we're done.
All right. I'll call it.
Fellas, this is a good one.
All right. Well, I'm going to call it. And that has been yet another episode of the Just Catching Up podcast. And now, ladies and gentlemen, you are all caught up. I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. And you could be listening to any podcast in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that. And yes, that was a Jay-Z reference. I want to thank our good friend Nathan for providing our theme songs and our intro and outro music. You can please check out his website at nathantownscomposer.com. I think I got that right. Let me tell me if that's right, Nathan.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right, nathantownscomposer.com. Check him out, please. His music is epic, and that's why we use it for our themes right now. So for each and every single one of us, I want to thank you. So we're going to sign off right here, and thanks for tuning in. Everybody say bye.
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 All right, we'll check you next episode. Have a good one.